What's up, y'all? Hope you got a happy full moon. Hope it's a beautiful one for you. I, boy, oh boy, song's released today. It's on all platforms, and Shatters 22. Learned a lot in the mastering process. Very cool experience. Uh, it's interesting. It's a very different side of the equation, mastering. It's careful. Definitely kind of drove me a little crazy. It's cool. And I got it done the first week so that I could have time to process and go onto the platforms. So the second week I was more chilling. And I created an album cover that it's got a lot of stuff going on. I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of it, but it's solid for now. Well, it works. Um, I got my vocal chains way more dialed. Mastering techniques more dialed, still very basic and rudimentary, but getting there. And I think the song turned out really well. I definitely improved it quite a lot. So I guess that's all I really have to say in terms of that aspect of the equation, in terms of like what the scrum was about. Did it in the first week. Um, Second week is my birthday. Happy birthday, me. I think I just sent it in, and then I had my birthday. My birthday was fun. It was the first half of the day, I would say, was very much oriented in reflection. I woke up with the sun and just took a nice, big, beautiful, long walk, found a coffee shop, just tuned in to myself. And on the way back, I had this like hour plus long voice memo conversation with myself where I reflected upon the experience of this year and what an extraordinary journey it has been, and where I am now in the context of it. And wild to feel, man. Like so much happened this year, and it was a very challenging year. I went through a really hard chapter where I was just like in just suffering psychologically, and it was, in a lot of ways, I feel grateful to be unburdened by a lot of the things that really kind of felt immensely heavy on me at that time. Um, and it's cool to be in a new place, um, to be a bachelor, to be solo here. I feel like I've wanted to explore this state of being with myself for a really long time, and this is the first time in my life that I actually have the opportunity to do so. So I'm celebrating that in a really big way right now. It's very exciting for me. Um, and then I had some mushrooms and I tuned into Ahssiah, and I felt communion and orientation with like the beauty that lives inside of me. And I had probably my best acoustic session yet, or definitely up there with the golden glories, where I just felt like I was playing the best that I've played. And the work that I've been putting in and learning these songs has been super supportive, and it yielded a new version of me that could go sit down and actually have quite a cool collection of songs to play. And that's honestly, that's really been what's catalyzed this next scrum for me. Throughout my life, I've always suffered in, and what an interesting term that is, suffer, to suffer. Of course it's relative. I'm about to say that I've suffered because I couldn't play tangible songs in guitar. And when I say suffering, what I mean by that is it's always been something that has um, felt like an oh fuck. It's always something that continues to come up as like registering pain, and I find myself judging that at the moment, which is interesting to experience the suffering or the pain and the judgment, being like, that's not suffering, bitch. Um, but for me, it is. So it's something that has continued to feel like I'm just like I care so much about music, but I'm just fundamentally retarded in this area of the equation, and it's like this something imposed limitation. And recently in my life, I've been working to just change that, just recognizing that I can and doing it. So I've been studying songs, and I've been going to a place that I haven't really had the patience to go before, which is just practicing these pieces. And I find that there's a part of me that spazzes out. Like if I spend a certain amount of time doing something, it's almost like I haven't valued it enough to take the time to be patient with the piece, to really dial it in a way that's clear, refined, and potent, engaged in rhythm, engaged in pitch, and executes the mission, refines the line. And recognizing that that's been a big limitation for me for such a long time. It's also a space that holds, I feel, extraordinary value for me to pursue and address. That's been like the fault point in my musical foundation for a really long time. So this scrum, I am interested in. I've got a cool mission. I've got a great mission. You guys are gonna love it. Before I share the mission, I also want to share that just like I've been in a very emotional place recently. I've been having just going through my extremes, and this just happens to me cyclically, where I just like I'll go down, and I'll just feel despair. And despair, I'll feel like all the work that I've been doing all of this time is just literally for nothing, and I have no future in it. And it's wild because there are other times that I can feel so charged and vitalized by like the sensation of feeling this is what I want to do, and feeling like I'm continuing to make progress all of these years steadily because I want this to be my life's work. I want to uh, do this professionally and discover what that means to put work in the world and connect with people and really just share myself and live my life in a way that's just devoted to um, letting God pour through me and nourish the world and open myself as a vessel for that to happen. And I've felt it happen so potently throughout my life that it's given me this clear sense of like, this is absolutely what I'm here to do. And I'm doing it, and I'm developing. And, I'm soon going to be able to do this full time. That's the only thing that I've wanted for many years. That's what I've wanted for many years, and that's what I've been continuing to focus on. That's what the Scrum session's about. And yeah, it's just like doing the highest quality work that I possibly can and sharing it with the most amount of people and catalyzing the most beauty in the world that I possibly can. And that's my endeavor. And I feel like I have a very unique and special perspective through which to do that. I feel very grateful for the perspective that I have discovered or that has revealed itself to me. I know that the lens through which I see is extraordinary, and in simply in recognizing its beauty, I feel so overwhelmingly compelled to cultivate my ability as a practitioner, as a translator, to share it. And when I go down, when I go into emotional places, I lose contact with any sense of faith that I have a future in this, or that like it's like the fall of God to me happens, and it's wild to experience it on. I have the benefit of being able to look back for many years now, and it hasn't been all my life. It started when I was about 18 that I'd go. My psyche changed a lot when I was 18, um, as it has from many of my family members. Yeah, it's like a conversation in mental health where it's just like um, it's wild to experience so much power and so much faith and so much focus and so much like calling, and then from out of the blue to just also experience that just ripped away, and just like no emotional drive, just debilitated, like a wave has just slammed me down to the bottom of the ocean, and it's rock, sand, and I can't move. And I have no faith that I'll ever um, succeed in the work that I love, because I have no calling to do any of this work. Um, and it feels like, the moment that I go into, okay, now it's time to share the work, I just fucking hate it. I hate, uh, I don't want to show up to the work anymore. It's like I'm feeling like all my actions are contrived. And it's just like my whole system flips into its polarity. And I eat shit. Um, and sometimes it's wild how it happens, because sometimes it's just the stories change about why I feel like hell, but it's the same feeling. And it's like all the emotions collapsing into one. I feel like I fucking hate myself. And yeah, it's pretty wild. But I have the benefit of time right now. And it's like when this shit happens, it's happened to me many times before. And I have witnessed myself die and come back to life. It's like when I go down, it's just like everything that I've been loving. It's like I've been praying to a false god. I don't actually like any of the stuff that I like, and I hate myself. And it's just like when I go there, it's like I have to let go of everything that I thought I was doing. I have to let go of my future and any sense that I can build a life for myself through this work. And it's like I'm put in a point where I just hate the work, and I'm like, okay, well, clearly this isn't it, and I have to just let this go in order to just be with what is real and be with what is truly it. Because if I am deluded, at least I want to know that at every point, and I will continue to make that decision if I'm delusional, I want to know the truth, you know? I want to know who I really am. I want to know what is authentic. I want to know what is real. And I will always move to that when I acquire new information. And when this shit hits me, it's like, okay, let me just be open to new information. In order for me to be open to new information, it feels like I need to clear my plate and let go of the things that I'm holding on so desperately to, out of some notion of like, this is my security, right? It's like the truth will prosper. What is real cannot be destroyed. If it's really meant to be, it'll come back. And time again, I've done this. Time and time again, creation comes back. Like Ahssiah opens the door. Often it's like one chapter ends, closes, the door slams in a way that makes me really sad. Uh, it often but then it's just like something new comes, and it blows me away, and it moves me, and it inspires me, and it's like we're on the ride again. So I've been going through some experience of that, and it's also a bit different this time because I'm not. I went through such a heavy period of this, like last December, for many months, where it just was. It did. It was might have been the longest that I was really down with it, and it was like all throughout the day, this thing did not let up, and I was just tortured. It was awful. Um, but when it came back, it was beautiful. You know, when things came back, I put music in the fire, and music came back in a brilliant way. And Scrum started, and I've got all of this beautiful work um, that's come to life since it. I've developed in a lot of ways, and it's great. Yada yada. Um, so right now, it's not it's not as oppressive. It's and I recognize that like I've moved. I'm starting an entirely different life. Um, I'm solo here, which is a beauty, and it can be its own curse, but it's really what I want right now. And I feel like for many weeks I was leaning into weed and tobacco, and they were distracting me from experiencing some of my intensity. And after my birthday, I realized that I was doing that, and I chose to do the opposite. And so I'm just like, I'll just take a week off of this stuff and a week off of social media, like scrolling, because that's was also just clearly a distraction. I was just feeling myself like caught up in these rabbit holes that these scrolling, doom scrolling, right? Um, so I cut those things, and that's when it really just kind of hit me hard, right? Because no longer am I leading into the crutches that I've been using for these distractions, and I knew that this would happen. And I even knew that like I would go through a phase like this in moving to Atlanta and then starting this new chapter. I just could feel like it would take me a minute to, it would likely take me a minute to click in. And I have a sense that when I do click in, it's going to be really beautiful. So I have some sense of perspective. I went through a really hard chapter with this a week, I'm sorry, in December for multiple months. And this doesn't feel like that. I also really put music and really put all of my dreams in the fire in a way that was so saddening, and just my heart broke. And everything came back. So the idea that like I have to put everything in the fire again, I'm just like, sure, um, let's burn it. But I'm also not really burning it. Like I don't feel like I need to put music in the fire again. Instead, I have the opposite sensation, which is like I'm gonna just I'm gonna feel likely I'm gonna just go through this chapter of intensity, and it's it's probably just gonna feel like shit for a little while, and it's regardless of what I do. I was attributing the beginnings of this to like now I'm sharing music. Now it's time to put these videos into the world. Now that it's time to put these videos into the world, I don't want to do it. I hate music, blah, blah, blah. I'm going down, right? I don't feel like it's as causal. I think that my emotion just will grab onto what it can, and it'll create a story around it. Social media is another thing. I've yet to really discover how to learn and to relate with that, but I've had a lot of different conversations with it, with myself. Let's get into this scrum. What's happening in this scrum? This scrum, I recognize that I'm going to feel like hell regardless. And so I'm directly addressing this thing that was really clear on my birthday, and that's been awesome as I've been developing it here in Atlanta, is just I've been practicing songs. So I want to create a confident set list. My output is going to be a compilation video, which is a series of videos of songs that I've executed, and my focus is upon refining the lines, upon executing the mission with precision, playing the songs well as they were written, rather than just the improvisatory free flow that I've strengthened myself in, but has also become, some kind of crutch, as it's the only thing that I've felt comfortable doing, and it's very limited in its chords and stuff like that. So I'm interested in practicing. There's quite a list of songs. There's a lot of songs that I have like 90% done, and I'm really just interested in like getting them to 100% and then integrating that so that I've memorized it, that I can play it whenever I want. And this confident set list video compilation is basically going to be like, this is the toolbox. These are the beasts in the arsenal. This is what I have, what I'm wielding, and practicing them, playing them, executing them is really going to be, I'm going to be focusing on my voice, like singing them right, singing them true, singing them effectively. So that's the guitar, and that's really a frontier for me. That's something that I've just musically been avoiding for a long time, and I feel it's addressing a part of my foundation that has been breaking a lot. And it's like, when my shit breaks loose, where does it break loose? How does it break loose? I just feel like this is connected to whatever the weak points inside of my stability are that create immense volatility that prevent me building the tower higher. I feel like this is at the root, or an aspect of the root. So I'm focusing on the music, executing these songs correctly, and as close as I can to the original that I can. I've also got a series of free flows that I've just made, almost just stumbled upon by accident, and they're really beautiful and super magical. And I am going to study and train and learn how to play these as well as the covers of other musicians. I'm going to cover my own music. I don't have a full list of what songs yet. I'm going to discover that, but and be inspired. But every day, it's a 1 hour acoustic session minimum, and every day I'm going to film. So that's where the compilation videos are going to come from. It's just this everyday practice, and I feel like that's extraordinary. This scrum has 3 parts. One part is the refined lines of the music, right? Executing these songs. The second is the fine lines of this piece. Now, I've similarly to music, I've hit the same point with art, where especially if it's a larger piece, I can put a lot of shit down. I can make it look pretty cool, but when it comes to like finishing it, choosing my lines, completing it, I break loose. This happens in a lot of ways, but I feel I study myself through this creative work, and I evolve through this creative work. And this is the same thing that I'm addressing in music as I'm addressing in art. This piece is already greatly begun. It's got a lot of work to do, and it'll be challenging for me to bring it into, like, do the focus that it takes to bring this home. But this is also part of my scrum. This is also likely the last scrum where I won't be working the job, because my knee is still healing, so I'll be in the gym a lot, just healing it. But I say that because it's like I have a really special opportunity to get to do something potent here. Third part of this scrum is a written scene. So Hunter S. Thompson inspired Gonzo. With this scrum, I am doing an experiment in Gonzo. And I would say maybe this would be the way to start all of this rather than finish with it. But like, Gonzo to me is about, it's a form of journalism where we become the character of our own design. And I'm interested in taking a thumbprint of the present moment, like articulating where I am as Jay, as myself, and that can just include depression. That can just include my intensity, my negative emotion, and my sadness. And then there's also the mythological context of Ahssiah, likely Jada Loki as well. But the idea of Gonzo is that like I'm building this character, an avatar, and then I'm stepping into it. And I'm interested in unhinging my belief from my perception of logic and reality. Like, when my tower crashes, I lose faith in God, I lose faith in myself, I lose confidence. And Gonzo is essentially the idea of like being the method actor and the character in the story that I'm writing. So this scene, like all of these things are tied. The music is Ahssiah, is Jay's focus. So it's just like the scene that I'm going to be writing is essentially a context for why am I doing these things? What am I conquering, or what am I discovering when I execute the mission and the music and the writing and the art? It's a context for my present chapter, my present experience of life, where it's rooted on the very human level of how I feel and how I am right now. And it's also rooted or in heaven of the mythology, of the dream, of the beauty and the brilliance of Ahssiah. And this is an immersion in Gonzo because I'm creating the character that I'm playing in life right now. I'm creating a context and I'm executing inside of that context. So I see this as taking form. This will take form as a node in my website with a visual, video, and a writing. Wow. And the basic idea, man, is just like, I feel like hell. I'd rather feel like hell really giving myself to something rather than just feel like hell, not. And just, I would, the alternative, which I know very well, is just like enormous anxiety and just hatred, self-hatred, um, and the feeling that I'm not doing anything. And the other alternative is like, if I were to just do a production track right now, I feel like I would just hate the experience of being inside the booth. As much as I love production, that's just how I feel right now. And I think that scared me a lot in the past. It's like I was terrified of hating that feeling of the thing that I love. And right now I'm just at a point where I'm just like, I know I'm going to hate this. So, and it's regardless of what I do. So I might as well fucking go for it and do something and get something done. And if it feels like shit, uh, well, it'll stop in 2 weeks. You know, it'll be over soon. But I'm no longer being held by the jaws of like, if which, and this is something that I've done for a long time. Like, if it feels like shit, if I don't like it, then it's wrong. Then I shouldn't be doing it. Then I've got something uh, uncalculated, or then I'm off. And I've just encountered that sensation doing the things that I love, like full pursuit of the thing I love. All of a sudden, I fucking hate it. And I've always made the assumption that because I fucking hate it, I'm doing something wrong. And now I, uh, I can just recognize I'm in the place where I fucking hate it, and it's not about anything that I'm doing. It's going to happen regardless. So I might as well address this point in my process that I always come to, and my work feels it like it always breaks here. I'm at the breaking point, and I'm just like, this time we're going to try something different. So here we are trying something different. Let it rip, baby. I hope you have an extraordinary cycle. Happy full moon. This one's gonna be fucking wild, man. I just know it. May God be with us. Hallelujah.